Today is a day that I get to be a dirty pussycat. Today is the day that I ride the Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Pro. Let's get dirty. Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well. So, yes, I'm still looking at potentially changing my Harley for a commuting bike, a touring bike, an all-round purpose bike that's going to be also great for the long haul, great for the shorter journeys, put boxes on it, great for tour riding with my partner on the back as well, for comfort and everything. I'm trying out these Triumph ADV bikes. Last video I tried the Triumph Tiger 1200 GT Pro, which is a road version, or the more road focused version. This is more off-road capable, let's say. Right, spoke wheels, bigger front tire as well, longer travel suspension, but essentially everything is exactly the same, right, as that GT Pro. These bikes come with this electronic preload adjustment thing, which is just like the Harley Davidson adaptive ride height control. It lowers the suspension if you go below a certain speed that you can set, so it's easier to get on and off. But I've got it on the lower seat setting here just for comfort, and it works just as well. So whether that's really needed or not, it really depends how tall you are, I suppose. But for me, it's all good. The way this rides is just insane, how great it is. As I said in a previous video as well, you've got the KTM Super Adventure, you've got the Ducati Multistrada, and these Triumphs Tiger 1200, they are a performance above anything else. BMW got some catching up to do now, and they're just about to bring out that GS 1300 for 2024. Hey, I'm sure that's going to be in the same bracket. I've said this in the past, I think, that I do love these big ADV bikes. Whilst I've got the Harley Davidson and everything like that, I love these ADV bikes because you're sat upright and, you know, you command the road, and they're great all-round bike and everything like that. Which one you go for, I think you're kind of looking, if you want a performance, higher performance one, you're looking at the KTM, you're looking at these now, and you're looking at the Ducati, of course. But this, the Rally Pro 1200, is coming in about standard at 18,000. The GT is coming at about 17,000. So I think if I trade in my Harley, add a bit of money that I probably would be spending on my Harley, and a little bit more, yeah, I could afford this brand new. But I could certainly afford maybe something that's been used for a year or two. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. Thing is, I don't think ADV bikes are that great looking anyway, but you don't get them for general aesthetics. You get them for the all-round function. You want it every bike, and I've said this before, these are pretty much the bikes for every riding situation. And for me, all year round riding, all weather condition riding, that's the way to go. This is the Rally Pro, which is a top spec. I've already said that I would go for the Explorer version, which is essentially the bigger tank, and it's got heated seats. This is a standard. It's got electronic suspension, it's got heated grips, it's got all the different rider modes. Amazing. The power delivery from that engine is fantastic. It's got rain mode, which dulls it down a little bit. It's got road mode, which is, you know, pretty snappy. Then you got sport mode, which is just insane for one of these bikes. And I say it's on a par with the KTM and the Ducati in terms of that amount of power that's coming out. Possibly the Ducati just obviously pinches it in overall outright riding performance, of course, but they're you know, they're right up there. It's just the way it rides. This is the Rally Pro, so it's got a longer travel suspension, so I felt I was on a bigger bike. It was more jacked up. It's more like this bike was on steroids, as opposed to the GT was just, you know, your normal bodybuilder, whereas this one was juiced up, as it were. But the way it rides in the bends, the way it rolls, and it's so smooth. The bigger front wheel kind of makes it a little bit slower in that roll rate. If I'm going to get one of these bikes again, the big ADV bikes, I think I'm going to go for more road focused versions. So the GT would probably suit me better. But then I ride one of these and I think overall I prefer the way these ride. And I don't know what it is, it just feels a little smoother. The quick shifter feels a little smoother. The way it revs is a little bit smoother. This is all in my mind, by the way. This is not, you know, I doubt there's any difference between the two. But just the way it rides with that longer travel suspension just seems to suit my riding style a lot better. I think most of the time you'd be in road mode, and every now and again, just like that KTM Super Adventure, which I said, you know, you put it in sport mode for hooligan fun. But most of the time, I can't see myself getting into sport mode. Overall, I think this is a great bike, but I'm in this big dilemma. As I said, if I went for one of these bikes, would I go for the road focus version, or would I go for an off-road focus version, which I'll never really use for serious off-road, so I don't really need it? So I'm in this sort of dilemma. If I went for that, I think I'd go for the off-road kind of version, just in case I ever did go off-road. And I know I do go on farm tracks and hard trails every now and again, not serious off-road, because I've already said this in previous videos. I just think they're too big, and in my previous experience with a Triumph, I thought they were just too big for serious off-road. But, you know, medium off-road, yeah, no problem. And I think, you know, get some Anarchy Wild tires, some Nobblies on there, as I've already shown in my previous bikes as well. They're great. They're absolutely great for that kind of stuff. So the question is this bike for me? It's right in the conversation now. This has jumped right in the conversation. Whether I went for the GT, the road version, or whether I went for the Rally Pro, the off-road type version, it's in the same conversation as if I'm going to launch into an ADV bike as an all-round bike to get rid of my Harley and go back to these sorts of bikes, which is so tempting. It's in the same conversation as the KTM. If I was kind of looking to say, right, I'm going to keep my Harley and I'm going to go for a used bike, one of these, I think I'd go for the Suzuki, the V-Strom 1050DE. I think that's a cracking bike as well, a cracking value bike. But if I'm looking at this bike to think, oh wow, I'm going to get a brand new riding experience and everything, the problem is I won't, because I've already had the previous incarnation or 2 generations before it. And I love that bike, and I've already said that I sold it too early because the value dropped out of it because there was a model change. So I kind of already been with Triumph, and that's where I'm at. I think it's a fantastic bike. Thumbs up to Triumph again. I think it's a great bike, and it's at that level with the KTMs, and I think the BMW has got some catching up to do, which I'm sure they will with this GS 1300 that's coming out. But right now, overall package, it's right in there. Put the boxes on there, put the top box on there, put a pad for the top box so my partner can lean back and be in comfort. Yeah, I can see it. It's just, it is tall. So I'm just wondering, all around riding touring mode, especially with my missus on the back, would she like it? Would I like it in terms of, you know, long distance and comfort and everything? I'm not so sure this would be the best bike for that kind of riding. And I have no doubt that these bikes will go long distance. That's not the issue. The issue is the comfort factor, and also because I really am thinking about my missus now, getting her on the back a lot more as well and coming along for rides as well. My previous bike, she got on it, but she didn't really like it. My Harley, she doesn't really like at all in terms of getting on the back as well. So again, this is another factor which I'm kind of not just thinking myself, I'm thinking about a bike for both of us as well, to, you know, in our twilight years, as it were, you know, going riding together. So yeah, listen, that's where I'm at. That's the position I'm at. I'm thinking about the kind of riding that I want to do. I'm thinking about the riding that I will do: shorter distance, longer distance, solo riding, two-up riding, whether I go to shows and I'm loaded up with kit, whether I'm going away, I need to park the bike up for a while, and how much stuff I'm going to be taking with me. So many things that I'm thinking about, that I do need a utility or a touring capable bike that covers all these bases, and this does. It just doesn't cover that kind of comfort level that I think maybe that's where I would go for a more road focused touring bike, if you know what I mean. And the problem is that Triumph just don't do one of those bikes anymore. They've kind of got this is the all-round bike, but they don't have something that's road touring focused. And I think maybe that's the direction which I'm leading in. If I'm going to move away from my Harley, I've got to be thinking in that respect. And I just don't think I need an ADV, but I concede that it's probably, in the grand scheme of things, the best all-round capable bike for me, if you know what I mean. So the Triumph Tiger 1200 Rally Pro, is it for me? If I was going to go this way, if I finally decide to go this way, it wouldn't be that bike. It would be the Explorer. Out of the two, the road or the off-road kind of version, I think I would go for the road version more than the off-road version, but this seems to ride just that little bit better. I'd have to have another go on it just to think, but they're essentially the same. Just this has got a bit more longer travel suspension, different wheels, spoke wheels, and a bigger front tire, of course. They're just great bikes. They are just genuinely great bikes to ride. What I will say about this engine though, it's a funny engine to listen to. It's almost got this dull knocking popping sound, and I spoke to the guy when I took the GT back, and he said yeah, that's the way the crank is set up as well. The firing order, there's two cylinders that fire quite close to each other, and then there's the other cylinder that fires a little bit later on, so it's kind of weird popping sound, and it's a weird knocking, dull knocking sound. When you're riding it, you don't hear it at all, but it's odd because you get on it, you think, oh, there's something not quite right with it, but it's just a different engine sound. But the way it rides, the way it sounds, the pull on it, the power, the torque is just, you know, on point. You know, is this the bike for me? It's in the conversation. That's all I can say. It's definitely in the conversation, definitely more so than any other bike other than the KTM, I would say. In terms of, could I just stretch to it, maybe get one that's a year old with a little bit of mileage on it? Yeah, I could definitely see myself doing that. Definitely see myself. Let's see what happens. Let's see which way I go. But it's either stick or twist now. That's where I'm at. Stick with the Harley Davidson, or jump ship and go to another bike, or maybe stay with Harley on another bike as well. But I'll let you know, and I'll catch you again on another video coming very soon. Cheers.